Hello, friends. Hey, y'all. Look, the gang's here. Nice to see all familiar faces. I wonder what's the weather like because it's that time of the year where it gets really different everywhere. Does anybody want to type in the chat what your weather's like today? I'm in Vancouver Island. It's sunny and cold. I'm going to put it in just to show you. Sunny and, well, I should say cool. Sunny in Denver. Is it warm, Leslie, or just sunny? 52 Denver. All right. That's not a sports score, is it? Sunny in Denver. Sunny now. Oh, Kelsey. Hello. Same here in Oregon. Oh, all right. Look at that. Anybody else? See, we got some people in different places here. Sunny in Phil. It's always sunny in Philadelphia, or at least that's a TV show. Um, that's a crazy. Do you know that show, Kelsey? Isn't that funny?
That
It's
show is hilarious. I love
it
it.
it is hilarious. It's awful and disgusting. Oh, I can't recommend it. It's not the kind of show I can recommend.
Oh
But
yeah. Well,
but
Danny DeVito though.
no, all of them. They're all so funny. I'm just actually watching them from the beginning right now. They're Charlie's always,
What are you all talking about? What show?
well, you know, I'm not going to tell you because it's called Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but it's a very sort of fast-paced kind of, I don't know, modern comedy, but it's generally depraved, which reveals another side of who I am. So I wouldn't recommend it, but I love it. I'll say both those things about it. Well, how about that? How about that? While we're inviting people into the room, and we usually take a few minutes, has anyone got a favorite, something favorite that you're viewing right now? So it could be a documentary, could be a TV show, could be a film. Um, anyone here watching anything that you would like to share with others? I'd be interested to know. Love on the Spectrum. I've heard that's quite good. Yeah. Anyone else? The morning show. Oh yeah, the morning show. I think I
I
did the
am
first.
watching an eagle cam right now.
Oh, like in a nest?
Yeah, in California, Northern California, mommy and daddy are switching places. It's so wonderful. It's
I
in
love that.
Big Bear Valley. So I'm addicted to it.
That's really cool.
I watched it on Sunday also.
Oh, you watched it too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Well, I have kind of an eagle cam here out my window. We have a nesting pair of eagles just in the neighborhood, and lately they've been coming to this tree with their young ones that are now flying. So it's flight school. We're seeing a bit of that. That's good. And then I don't know if anyone saw, I don't know who follows social media, but the other day I saw 10 eagles in a field together. And they were all just hanging out in a little group. Um, that was kind of cool. What else is going on? Let's see I'm looking back in the chat here. Chat. Anyone? Well, oh, Mystical Journeys. What? What's Mystical Journeys, Carol? Is that a series?
Humanity Stream Plus.
Of course. Yes, if you're not checking out Humanity Stream, there's so many cool things to watch. So I'm glad you brought that up, right? Uh, okay. How about a couple more people, and then we're gonna start shifting gears in a moment here. Anyone else have some sort of book or film or show that documentary that you're consuming that you think others might like to see? I saw a documentary recently called Common Ground. And if you can get your hands on that, I would say that's one of the most important documentaries I think anybody can see today. Really. Mad Honey. Oh yeah, everything by her is really good, I've heard. Mad Honey. Thank you, Loretta.
The Humanity, what was it? Humanity Plus streaming? Is that
So that's
Humanity's team?
yeah, that's the group
Googling it.
that hosts. That's the group that hosts this, and they do things that are free like this, and then they, available to the community, and then they do special programs you can download, but you can be an annual member.
Okay,
Then you have
cool.
like unlimited streaming. So it's kind of like the Netflix of conscious living and spiritual growth.
Cool. Thank you.
Do you know
Yeah.
where we can see Common Ground?
I don't know. I don't know. I should have checked before I said that. But I am following them on Instagram, and it's pretty easy, I would imagine, to do a search for it. I really don't know. The first film that these same people did was Kiss the Ground, a documentary that was, I think, on Netflix with Woody Harrelson and some others, and it's phenomenal, and it's kind of mind-blowing, and it's about the food industry and interconnection and community and health, and it's great. And then you'll never be able to go shopping again. That's the beauty of all these documentaries. It's like, well, if you want to stop eating fish, watch this one. If you want to stop eating meat, watch this one. If you want to stop eating plants, watch this one. If you want to stop trusting the government, watch this one. If you want to stop spending money, and eventually you can watch enough documentaries that you just have to move into a little cave and knit for yourself. And maybe have a goat, right? You can have goat milk. Anyway, all right. I think I've stalled enough. Hey, look what I found. Did I show this last week? I got my hands on a physical copy. It came out early. I was so excited and a little nervous. I opened it up. I was like, oh no. But it's pretty good. I have to say, I like it. I really like it.
A couple of people got theirs last week and it showed proof, but
Oh yeah. That's right. That's right. Well, yeah, so I'm pretty pleased about that. And I'm going to be doing something where I create a special companion video. And I'm collecting the emails of people who send me a note to let me know that they pre-ordered it. So anyone who pre-orders it, you can just take a little snapshot of your receipt or a screenshot of your receipt or some kind of evidence of your receipt or a picture of you with the book. And then I'll put you on a list. And then in a couple weeks, you'll get a lovely little video that goes with it. So there you go. Okay, well, enough about promotion. Let's move into the topic of the day. So uh I have a little schematic that I want to share that is sort of a way to regroup and simplify. I think that particularly, in a circle like ours, we can get into some very metaphysical things, and even books like the spiritual experience can take us to places where we start expanding our ideas, and the universe just becomes infinitely larger and more complex. And yet, I think we all know that if finding peace and staying connected isn't simple enough, most of us will just lose focus or interest. So I'm going to share something, and I'm interested in your feedback and your comments and your input and your questions. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. But first, I thought we could do a little visualization, just some guided imagery, nothing super complicated. And I appreciate that not everyone is highly imaginative, right? So for some of us, guided imagery comes easily. And for others, it's more like a stream of sporadic thoughts and ideas. And I'm just going to say it's all fine. The idea is that if nothing else, we're going to take some time to relax and get settled and be connected and on the same page in a way, or in the same space, in the same headspace. And And just thought of something. I'm writing a note. And then as we walk through the images, you just kind of do the best you can. And for some of you, come spontaneously and follow it. Be curious, don't judge it, don't limit it. For some of you, maybe you're going to draw on memory, and that's fine too. And if you're really struggling, you can just kind of make it happen, right? Just the way if I asked you to picture yourself making dinner tonight, right? You might start thinking, oh, these are the ingredients and this is the dish. And next thing you know, you're kind of picturing yourself putting it together. So just keep it simple. And yet, if you can, follow along. And let's begin. So if you wish, please close your eyes, sit comfortably but alert. And we're going to take a big deep breath in through the nose. Hold it a moment and notice any tension or tightness in your body, then breathing out long and slowly with a sigh if you like. And then repeat. Long, slow breath in. Hold it, gathering up the tension, the tightness, the wandering mind and mood, and then breathing it out long and slowly. Continuing, long, slow, deep breath in. Holding more softly now. And exhaling, this time exhaling to the absolute fullest extent. So you even want your stomach muscles to contract as you breathe out. And now a gentler breath in, still full. A gentler hold, now only to notice quiet and stillness. And then again, the long, long extended exhale. And we'll continue that last pattern just a few more times, keeping everything soft, full breath in, a simple, quiet hold as you notice stillness and silence. And then the long, long exhale. Now allow yourself to focus on the darkness of your closed eyes, the darkness of your inner world. And I'm going to invite you to see something with me. And you may be able to see it as I say it, or you may see it more as an observer, and it's fine. However you see it is fine. So in the darkness of your mind's eye, imagine that slowly in that darkness is revealed that you are looking under the earth, under the ground, into the soil. And maybe you can even imagine what soil might look like. You can see a little web of roots, maybe coming down from the grasses. Maybe you can envision a worm or a little tiny bug moving through the darkness. And there is something that is now beginning to shine white in the dirt, a glowing life force, and it is a seed. Only you know what this is the seed of. It could be the seed of a flower or a vegetable or a fruit or a tree, but you can see it, you can imagine it, it's coming more clear, and you might even see and feel yourself becoming the seed. So whether you observe it or become it, take a moment. And then you feel the acceleration of time, the moisture, the minerals, and something in the seed begins to change. Though almost imperceptible inside that seed is a swirling cosmos of energy and matter arranging and rearranging itself, and suddenly it swells and breaks open, drawing in the minerals, the materials, the water, and little by little the seed begins to construct and extend itself. You are seeing the first expression of an arm reaching up, a stem, and it pushes up, up, up through the ground. And if you can envision that or even become that, you now move from the darkness below the soil into the blinding light of the world above. And this stem comes with a small, tender leaf, trembling and hungry, absorbing sunlight and the atmosphere around it, drinking in moisture, and you are growing. It is growing. The stem grows, the leaf grows, another leaf grows. And in your own inner vision, as it unfolds naturally for you, just imagine the way this plant unfolds. See it moving over time. With careful attention, watch how it grows and expands. What is it turning into? How does it move through the days and nights, the different weather patterns? Does it feel fragile or strong? And it continues to grow and grow until you can watch it become whole and fully expressed. And maybe you'll be surprised by what it becomes, or maybe you already know and you're seeing it or imagining it. Is it a little plant? Is it a flower, a bush, a tree? And taking a moment only to observe this and to feel this, the structure, the pattern, the knowing behind it all. And then observing or feeling what it's like as it now sustains itself through light and water and the nutrients of the soil. Maybe you can even imagine creatures coming and going, bumblebees or butterflies or birds. And then seeing the plant in the setting sun as the darkness comes. Just to the best of your ability, picturing that darkness. See what that looks or feels like as sunset gives way to night. And this plant of yours, this plant you are, it is underneath a vast night sky, moonless, filled with stars. And now allow your awareness to move up, 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 looking down at your plant, looking down at the ground, at the earth, at the plants around. The awareness travels up. Imagine that as best you can. Up you go, and turning now towards the sky and the darkness as best you can, seeing, imagining, feeling the infinite expanse of space and you travel up and out beyond the Earth's atmosphere and into the limitless black, surrounded by the awareness of trillions upon trillions of burning lights, galaxies, whole universes sprawling in all directions, and yet mostly empty space. And as you see and feel that infinite energy, the endless stars, notice the patterns and stay with the imagery as best you can. Stay focused on the images as best you can and see the acceleration of time as you now see planets orbiting, stars turning, a circular motion. And it's almost now like you are no longer looking at the universe itself, but the very interior of an atom. Imagine that you are now observing life at the subatomic level, the quantum level, waves of energy, packets of light, all circling and spiraling, and you continue to move through this turning universe further into the blackness until you feel yourself coming almost to a limit, like a membrane. And then just letting your mind be open as you imagine you are breaking through the outer shell of the tiniest atom, surrounded by atoms. And as your vision grows, you find that you are again inside the seed in the dark soil. This seed in the darkness filled with countless worlds, countless universes, stars, galaxies. And the hard seed becomes soft in the soil, and the journey begins again. And taking a moment before we come back to each other just to notice what you could connect with, what you were able to feel or see, or what it may even mean for you, although it doesn't need to mean anything at all. But is there a perspective it gives you? Something that helps? And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come on back. So, I'm curious if anyone, before we kind of keep going with our theme of the day, I'm curious if anyone would like to share something. We can come back to the big group. And just in a simple way, maybe, is there something you felt you learned or you saw or that just caught your attention? Um, you know, for me, I just couldn't help but feel the accelerated cycle of time and the way the seed became the plant, became the tree on the planet, in the unit, in the galaxy, in the universe, and the spinning lights, and it all really just reflected the subtlest levels of energy, and then cycled again and again and again, and it made me feel how patterned everything can be. Lori, how about you? Unmute and come on.
I just wanted to say it was a very pleasant vacation and reminder that when everything is stressful, just know everything you said, just have that feeling. It's very nice.
Good. Well, two quick things on that. I like to remind people we don't always need to get some big message out of everything we do in spiritual practice. It's nice just to have that little vacation, right? Just to be outside the day and the busyness and our worries. But I think you also said there's a value in just remembering that big perspective. Joan, how about you?
Okay, I'm sorry. It was fascinating because the first thing I did was I saw my hands went like this, like it split open into two. And as it raised, what I loved was two things. For one was the image of light and dark and light. And when you're in the dark soil, that you actually still can hold the light and you reach for the light. And as mine was like, it was almost, I guess, analogous would be a Amarillo. And when it, because the stalk was very thick, and then it had different blooms on it. And the higher I went, the more aware I was that there were others now sprouting out and the roots were extending. And I guess the lesson would be that when you reach higher and you go out of your comforting little soil cocoon, that there are others that will join you on the journey. And when you talked about the atoms, I saw orbs of light. And when I went back into the seed, I was glowing as if I held on to that light from going around. And it was like the seed became this little orb. So that's it.
That's lovely. I like that. I like that. Thank you. And you're right. There was I felt it, but I didn't kind of hold it the way you did. But that interplay of light and dark and light, I mean, really, isn't that everything? And it's funny. I'm just, I have to just pause for a moment because I mentioned that, one of the themes today is like sort of reclaiming some really core teachings, some simple things. But isn't it funny how impatient we can be with low energy or stuckness or dark moments of our life? And yet every single day cycles through darkness, every single day, and nothing grows. Nothing grows. Well, I don't know. I'd have to do some research about the Arctic and the Antarctic, but I don't know that there's anything that grows without a phase of darkness, right? I mean,
Dragon fruit grows a blossom only on full moon nights in the middle of darkness, just so you know, because I just wrote about this. And it's often pollinated by bats because they're attracted to the light in all the dark.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you. How about a couple other people? Something you want to just share, a thought and insights, amusing that came out of Leslie, come on in.
Hey, so I read something recently that was talking about when we think of how we grow and go through life, we kind of tend to think of it as like a linear, kind of as you'd like to imagine on a graph, you're just going up and up and up and getting better and better. But that really our experience with growth and everything is more like a spiral, and that we are coming around these same things that we've butted up against and that we've struggled with, but through growth, when we encounter them again, it gets a little bit easier and it gets a little bit easier, and it's you're kind of circling and becoming less attached to the pain, ideally. And so it kind of made me think of that cycle, and that our life is so many cycles. It's just, it keeps going and keep going, and we're going to keep encountering these same things, but if we're doing the work, they are less painful when we come around them.
Yeah, I think that's a really important addition, because my portrayal of the cycle repeating and repeating may be true, but it's evolving. right? Even the tree, the universe, the seed, the tree, the universe, the seed, or the plant, the universe, it is an evolution. And, the only thing that I would add that's a little bit of a challenging observation around what you shared is, as we spiral, I think you're right. We come around to similar things again and again, but with new levels of maturity. The only thing I would say, though, to add that makes it complicated sometimes is that as we rise, so to speak, in the spiral, sometimes a higher encounter of the same problem can feel sometimes more painful or more confusing, even though we are growing. In other words, I want to affirm for everyone that forward is the only motion in life. So it is always what you described. It is always spiraling. We are always spiraling. There's really no falling back. It doesn't mean that sometimes it doesn't feel like it.
Because it's less of a vibrational match for you than it was when you were in a lower place.
So good. Yes, that is it. No, man, you just took the words out of my mouth. So we come back to a problem, and rather than being like, my friend, I've seen you before, let's face this with love and wisdom, it's like, fuck, you're here again? I thought I made progress. What's going right? So yeah, that's great. I think you said it beautifully. Yeah, thank you. All right, let's go back to the gang. Anyone? No. All right, then David. Dave, how about you? Will you come on in? Kawika?
Yeah, sure. What Leslie said kind of really resonated. Um, and I guess, I'm feeling a little stuck in the low vibrational part of the life spanning of the soul journeys, and now with like a new awareness and a new tools to keep progressing, to keep moving forward, to keep getting unstuck. um I just find myself in exhaustion, not really empowered. And I think I've expressed this before, and I guess it's just where I'm at. Just feeling overwhelmed, like, do I really, I was kind of better off asleep and medicating and tuning out, because now, I have a responsibility to follow through. My soul is wanting more. And so for me, it's just kind of finding the life force. It's finding the central nervous system that can handle it, taking things offline that are not really serving me, and really just I guess managing resources to fight again, to go in for another decade of this. And so I appreciate that, that analogy, because it's really a sticky, there's so many beautiful components of it.
I appreciate your honesty. And, I think that experience you have, I think so many of us have, and it's not always for obvious reasons. And it's funny, I was just sharing with someone this morning, like the last 2 weeks, I didn't really have, I mean, actually, I had lots of great things happening in my life, but I was just, something was just feeling kind of low and stuck. And I, kept doing my things and, all the things I do. And I can always, yeah, it's most pronounced for me where my energy's at. I go to the gym in the morning and, oh boy, I do not feel like lifting this. I want someone else to lift it for me. I'll watch. And but to your point, like, well, I stayed steady, I persisted, to your point again, clean up what I could clean up, and then abide and watch and be curious. And all of a sudden, today, I woke up at 5:45. Bling. And I looked at my watch and I was like, 5:45. Go back to bed, body. My body was like, nope, we're ready. And I never did go back to sleep. And I stepped out this morning and I saw the twilight for the, one of the first time in months. And it was just there again. The energy was surging. It was like wind in the sails. And that was my reflection, is that, there's a lot of metaphors for life, obviously, lots of good ones. And the one that was struck me today was, of course, we've got the cycles, we've got the spiral, we've got the plants, the day, the night. But I thought a little bit about sailing, because there was a time in my life when I was young, I used to sail small boats. And I remember, maybe being in a race or being in a class, and the wind would just be gone. It just died down. And it was quiet, and it was often beautiful, but you couldn't go anywhere. Like, you could not go anywhere. It was really powerless feeling. Chris has got a sailboat up there. And then I just had this distinct memory this morning of the feeling of when that first gust ripples across the water and hits the sails, and all of a sudden we're back in gear, folks. Like, let's go. And sometimes there's not that much we can do except prepare, right? Like, it's not all in our hands. We do the best we can. So I hope that you're going to feel that gust of wind coming. Carol, how about you? And then we'll move to the little model I wanted to share up today.
I was intrigued to see that as a seed, deep down in the ground, it's really dark. And you've got no evidence where the light is, but you know where the light is. And it's almost like your soul mission, all you want to do is go to the light.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's something that's taking you there.
Yes, Carol, you know what? It's funny, because what you just shared is the perfect transition to the piece I want to talk about, which is, as long as you don't start, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this. As long as we don't mistake the darkness or the stuckness or the moment of retreating as failure, as long as we don't begin to become destructive in our relationship with ourselves, if we nurture and care, then, like what you just said, there's an impulse to the light. And actually, that's really why I did the exercise. I was hoping that somebody or some of you might feel in that cycle that there is a non-thinking order to things. It's not planned, it's not controlled, right? The seed doesn't even need to know which way is up. If you plant seeds, there's some seeds are different, but so many seeds, they just need to be in the ground with the right conditions. They don't need to be facing a certain way. They figure it out. And everything unfolds with an extraordinary perfection. I mean, when I mentioned the twilight this morning, I was looking at a pine tree that's easily 100 feet tall. And yet it's a single stem, right? A single trunk, and it endures wind and rain, and it's truly like a perfect construction. But there was no architect or committee meeting or graphic designer before it was all put into place. There is this extraordinary design in our universe, and that impulse to the light is part of it. So thank you for saying that. And Carol, what's behind you? Are those, oh, what do you call
Elephant.
that? Elephants. And what's the name of that again? I forgot. There's such a wonderful name for the art of grooming plants to be shaped like something.
Topiary.
No,
Topiary.
they're real. They're not plants.
What?
It was a photo from Botswana.
No kidding.
Yeah, I went to Botswana and it was a photo I took.
That's lovely. All right. Well, thank you so much, Carol. Anything else that you wanted to add? You're good? Okay. So some of you remember the Four Noble Truths of the Buddha. And he said that all life is suffering, acknowledging the condition, that if you're here on earth, it gets rough. And that the cause of suffering is attachment or judgment or clinging or desire, depending which translation you want to use. So we suffer because we want things to be different than they are. We don't want things to change, or we do want things to change, right? Or whatever. And that the end of suffering is nirvana. Nirvana meaning the direct experience of the unity of opposites. Nirvana, the direct experience of the unitive nature of reality. And then the fourth noble truth, which was kind of tricky. I don't know how many of you remember the Four Noble Truths. The fourth noble truth was that we can achieve nirvana through the Eightfold Path, which I kind of thought was like a Tony Robbins move for the Buddha, because it was sort of like saying, well, if you believe the first three things, then check out my program. Come to my course, come to my class, because the Eightfold Path is now like a pretty kind of complicated thing, but it has to do with your livelihood and your mindfulness and your actions and your speech and all these things. And the point there, what was the point there? The point is to say that these powerful four principles, I mean, changed the world because they gave rise to Buddhism. And of course, Buddhism has not only influenced Buddhists, but global consciousness. And we also have all kinds of other phenomenal, pithy, simple teachings. I am reminded of the Four Agreements. Oh my gosh, Don Miguel Ruiz, he really hit it there, didn't he? Four simple tenets that fill the whole book. And some of you will remember, in fact, I bet someone can even put them in the chat for the rest of you. I don't even remember what they were. I just know that one of them was, don't take anything personally. Maybe some of you memorized them. So someone please put the four agreements in there. Probably do your best. Was that one of them? I don't know. Have a shower once a week. Maybe that was one. So I've been thinking a little bit about simple teachings that are helpful, because I find in my own life, I sometimes spin off into the universe and get excited about the layers of reality and the dimensionality. And lately I've been immersed in something called high energy physics, which is actually the study of the universe at the layer below the quantum realm. And the high energy physicists are now sort of like laughing at the quantum physicists because they think their world is real, and the quantum physicists think the physics of Einstein was great but limited, and Einstein showed that Newton was great but super limited, and on and on and on. All this stuff gets really complicated. And so it kind of occurred to me that in the simplest way, maybe we could just take a breath and step back and remember some of the simplest things for when we feel stuck, for when we don't have an answer, for when we look around at the world and it just seems like cuckoo bananas. And so it looks something like this. I'm going to share my screen. Four foundations of a spirit-centered life. Just a little something to reflect on today. So the first simple thing arises out of our meditation. And it's something that we don't even need to be overly metaphysical about to embrace. In fact, science can help us. Being out in nature can help us. Baking can help us. And that's simply to recognize that there is a design. That's it. It's the simple recognition that there is a design to the world that we live in. Now, some would prefer the language, there is a plan, and I'm okay with that language, although I just don't personify the universe quite the same way, or God. I don't really think of God as planning the way I plan and have a calendar and a list of things to do on my piece of paper. But the idea is that there is a pattern, there is a design to absolutely everything. And hopefully we don't really need this proven, but if you ever doubt, well, my common example is try baking something. Because if you're like me, you'll think that baking is like cooking, and then you'll tweak the recipe, and then you'll just get a hot mess, right? You just can't play with how many eggs or how much sugar or how much yeast. It's a chemical process, and you repeat the pattern to get the same outcome. Well, the same is true of our experience online. If there were no patterns, people could not have harnessed electricity. They could not have harnessed computing. They could not have harnessed audio technology. All these things work because the rules of the universe stay the same. So every time we go to do the same experiment, the same thing keeps happening. So there's a design, and you only need to observe the simplest things in life to remember that. But the thing that we too often forget, and I can see that my own, there we go, my own little people window is covering it up. The only thing, or the next step that comes out of that is, yes, there's a design to absolutely everything we experience, everything that's going on, even the most deplorable things, and even the things we don't want to be happening, they're all happening inside the design. And we forget that we are also part of the design, which means everything that allowed life to come into being, that gave rise to consciousness, everything that makes the birds sing and the waters flow is inside us and guiding us. We are always a part of of the design. So there's no moment of our life, no matter how revolting or no matter how painful or no matter how undesirable, there's no part of our life that is outside of the design. And while that can be confusing in some ways, because sometimes terrible things happen, it's also inspiring, because it means that if we are patient enough and curious enough and open enough, then even when it feels like everything's collapsing, we are still a part of something bigger. And that takes us to the next principle, which is, if there's a design and we are innately in it, then that means that we must, or we are obliged or given the opportunity to trust and let go of control and judgment. These are the things that we do when we resist trusting the design. We try to control things, we judge things, we don't forgive, we want things to be our way. And one of the great expressions that helps me with this is to remember, we too often we live in relationship to our expectations and not what we are in relationship with. In other words, I'm training my dog or I'm walking my dog, and rather than being in primary relationship with my dog, I'm in primary relationship with my expectations of my dog, which means I'm frustrated when he pulls or when he doesn't listen or when he does whatever he wants, right? So the point is, in relationships, in work, in creative pursuits, in health, we can let go, we can trust, and we can pay attention to what's in front of us, to have an open mind and heart. And then we come to the final step, which is to simply be present and aligned with the highest good as we know it, which sounds maybe harder than it is, or maybe it sounds easy. I don't know what it sounds. But the point here is, if we know there's a design and that we're a part of it and we're willing to trust and let go, that means we're willing to be curious and allow. That means that being present is our moment to sense, to the best of our ability, what choice is in the highest good in the moment. And if we perpetually come through this cycle, then each moment will set up the stage or the grounds or the context for the next cycle. Each decision will lead to the next decision. Each step will lead to the next step. And if we do each step with an affirmation of design, the feeling that we are a part of it, the willingness to be open and curious, letting go of fear and judgment and attachment, and simply ask in this moment, how can I work with the flow of life, with the nature of things? How can I serve the highest good as I know it? Then, step by step, we continue around the spiral. And I'm really kind of picturing what Leslie and David were talking about, this idea that we may come back to the same problem or back to the same situation, but we're not in the same place. And each time we can continue, affirm the design. Here we go, I've simplified it here. Observe the design, affirm your place in it, trust and let go, be present and aligned. Observe the design, affirm your place in it, trust and let go, be present and aligned. Sometimes we can't see much further ahead than simply that. And I would argue more often than not, it doesn't matter. If we can see that much, if we can remember that much, if we can trust that much, it's a beautiful way to live, and it potentiates the next moment. That's the little 4 noble truths of the day that I wanted to share with you. But we have a little time left, and I would love to see if anyone here wants to jump in with a comment or a question or a clarification or challenge, because we have a little time before we go. And if you don't jump in, I'm going to pick on somebody.
That was good stuff, man. That was classic Dr. J right there.
Chris, thank you. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I don't know if I passed the news along to you. I had a 3rd round of retinal surgery, but it's looking good. I went to the doc yesterday, and life is good. Life is good.
Chris, you spend too much time on a boat out at sea.
I do.
All right. Well, everyone here is, if it's okay with you, we're going to keep your surgery in mind with love and healing and prayers for absolute perfect resolution.
Appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, glad to see you. Someone else. Oh, Lanny, come on in. Lanny, with the love just radiating out of your crown chakra.
I'm going somewhere else afterwards. I need to, anyway, it's fun. But I connected with the lack of energy. That's the thing that gets me. And to make it okay. I have an autoimmune disease that likes my body, and I'm very critical of not having energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice that it brought up, because it's not just me. I mean, I'm when I look at myself, I'm thrilled that I'm able to do all the things that I do, et cetera, and keep my balance, and still working on that critical part of me of being exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that mental, there is a plan, and this is part of the plan, but every once in a while I fall trap into the critical me.
Well, I appreciate you naming it, because I'm sure there's other people that feel the same way. And not that you were asking for a comment, but one thing that I think of that may sound wildly unrelated, but I think it's so connected, is that I think it's become just harder and harder and harder over the years. This is just my feeling. I could be very wrong. But it feels like it's become harder over the years to embrace our wholeness. And what I mean by that is, when we live in a culture with such a massive focus on what is normative, what is normal, I mean, mental health is difficult, relationships are difficult, business success is difficult, energy is difficult, because it's changing, I guess, little by little, but we sort of still have that feeling. You turn on the phone, the TV, the whatever source of information you get, it just seems like everybody's got endless energy, and it always reminds me of the action movies. That's always the thing I always say when I watch the action movies. I'm getting older when I watch these movies, and the only thing I can say 30 minutes in is like, oi, where do they get all that energy? Like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible is running full steam for like 20 minutes at a shot through the whole movie. Like, when does this guy even sleep, you know? Anyway, I digress. But I just want to say I appreciate that, you know? And it is normal and natural that we have conditions and eccentricities and drains and surgeries and all these things, but it just doesn't always feel like it's normal. And so we're not always as patient as we could be. So we will love your autoimmune disease, and we will invite it to love you a little less and leave you alone a little more. And good luck wherever you're going. I think they're lucky to have you. All right, we have just a couple minutes
Hey,
left.
Jonathan, quick question on surgeries.
Yeah.
How is your son doing?
You.
Knock on wood, yeah.
My question also.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, he had a stunning setback in August and developed something called osteomyelitis. It was a very aggressive bone and joint infection in his ankle. He's 15, super active. And thank goodness he healed absolutely and completely. And we've done all the scans and x-rays and blood tests. And there's no evidence of it, and it's not coming back. And for those people that haven't heard me brag, not only did he get back into the football season before it ended, but their team won the state and regional playoffs. And he was one of the, not that it matters, but he was a star player, and he was featured in the newspaper by name. And we were all just like,
Back in the saddle.
I
like
can't
it.
even believe he got to play.
Great news. Great news.
So yeah, so this stuff happens. And you know, I think the take home, you know, we could say a lot of people prayed for him. That's true. But you know, there's just an incredible resilience in nature. There's an incredible resilience in every one of us. And sometimes we just have to be a little bit patient because, you know, success and healing and wellness and love don't always come with the timing that we want. But usually we all get our enough of what we need.
So
Loretta, how about for you?
Did you apply your 4 principles to his situation?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. I would say it's one of the things that just gets me through life, which is to remember whatever's going on with him. And I do. I mean, I really remember feeling that in the hospital, you know, especially when they didn't know what it was, and he was going through MRIs and blood tests and all this craziness. And then they were consulting infectious disease specialists like, oh, well, we just want to make sure this isn't something that's going to be rapidly killing your son, right? Like, we want to look in the, I was like, oh, is that what we're talking about? But what helped me was going back to this, which is whatever it is, it's in the design. I can't argue that. And he's a part of the design. It's alive and at work inside him. And I'm in the design. So I have to let go of the desire for control and judgment about the situation. And then finally do the best I can with what I know, given my influence. And in the end, interestingly, there was little I could do except be patient and loving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, really was no magic touch from dad or anyone that healed his body. His body healed his body. Plus some surgery. So thank you for asking. Yeah, I would apply this to everything. Well, my friends, the time has come to say goodbye. I will be here next week. I hope you are here. And feel free to spread the word about the importance of spiritual experience. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful week. Oh, Joni, are you asking a question?
Yes, I've ordered a book, but I want to order a whole bunch. How do we get you to sign one?
I know.
Is there such a thing? Because I have like 5 friends that I've already told about it that I know will love this. But do I just order them and send them to, like, it's going to be expensive to send it to you, or you send it back?
It's super expensive, but I just thought of something. I'm going to order book plates. Do you know what those are? Those are little
That you put in the
stickers.
front, yes.
Yeah. So maybe I can do that, and then I can mail out book plates to people, and then you can stick them in, or you could
But I
send
want,
me.
can you, I would love the author, the wisdom keeper to sign that the seed germinated through his heart and his mind and his
Well,
soul. No,
yeah.
is there
So
anything?
you could send me like their name, like, hey Jonathan, would you send me 5 book plates
And
to,
you could sign them and send, okay,
yeah,
great.
Sarah, Robbie,
Okay.
Salvador, and Miguel, or whatever it is.
So
And
I'll have to send them to myself. I'll order them,
no,
get
I'll
the
order
book
the book
plates, and then I have to send for me rather, it'll cost another 20 bucks or something. Like I have to,
No, no,
in other words, I have to send them from me versus from your publisher or
oh,
wherever
yeah.
I'm ordering them.
Yeah, no, the publisher doesn't mail to individuals.
Amazon, whatever. I mean,
Well, I mean, not to delay anyone who's ready
I'm
needs to go.
sorry, guys.
What I can do, the only thing I can do is I can send to anyone. I have to be careful what this turns into, but I could send to anyone a stack of stickers with my message to the person and then my signature. And then
Okay.
you would just have to mail those stickers out to the people with the books.
Okay.
Or put it on the books and then give them away.
Or if you have the books, you'd stick them inside. Yeah. But I don't personally know of any way to have that happen and then, the books go out to the individuals. I think that's a bigger operation. That's Deepak Chopra level stuff.
You know, one thing you could do, just one thing you could do is order 50 and then, or something, and then just say, autograph copies available for an additional, whatever, $15 or something. But that would involve you shipping it, which you may not want to do, plus shipping costs or something like that. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the suggestion. And I will at least begin working on the book plates. So I'm saying goodbye to everyone. I'm going to hang on just a moment, Garth, before you hang up, because someone named Anna is coming in the room. And I'm going to just take a moment to say hi to Anna and let her know that we're just saying goodbye. So goodbye to everyone. And I hope we
Thank
see you
you.
next week. And
Thank you.
Anna, are you there, Anna? Anna, I'm so sorry. We're on Pacific time. Oh, I think she's gone. All right. Catch you later. Bye.